All right, we should be live. Letting some people trickle in here. All right, yeah, looks like we're good. Give it just a few seconds here. All right.
Cool.
Sweet. All right, so let's get this started. I just got to start with a folks. Is that welcome to Nostalgia Nomics? No, I'm not Alex. This is Alex from Nostalgia Nomics. My name is TJ from It Was Never a Phase, and we're just gonna have a little conversation, a little market talk, kind of little interview, just to start it off. Alex was kind enough to jump on a live here, so I figured it'd be fun. I got a few questions lined up for him out the gate, and then we'll kind of transition to all you viewers. If you guys have any questions, you can put them in now, but I'd wait towards the later half of the video here, and we'll get to you guys best we can. But so yeah, I took some notes here, did a little bit of research, a little bit of digging.
Right.
So we got to start off. This is actually a viewer requested question. It's just kind of funny. How much is Under Armour paying you for your sponsorships, and how do I get in on that?
Well, look, they're paying me an undisclosed amount under NDAs, but how do you get in on that, man? You just gotta rep and support them every step of every day, and they will get at you.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I just had to start off with the Under Armour fun. Always rocking the Under Armour hat. I appreciate the dedication, though.
Dude, it's one of those things where I'm so not like a fashion person, and so it's just I like the way Under Armour fits and looks. And so it's just so easy to just log on the website and just order new hats every time. So that's all I do. Whenever the hats wear out, I just go order one of every color again and get them all back till they wear out again.
Yeah,
and it's just I'm one of those people. I'm not a shopper, and so when I find something I like, I just kind of stick with it.
Okay, yeah, I had to ask about the Under Armour. We're gonna jump around a little bit too. So now we're getting into this is just something I've been curious about. What percentage? How would you divvy up your percentage of what you have for between your personal collection, your investing side, and then your rip and ship of all your Pokemon of everything? Where have you ended up recently? Because I know the rip and ship has been expanding. Yeah. How are you currently at personal collection wise too? Have you left a lot of that kind of in the dust and you're so much more business, or how has that been shaking out recently as you've been scaling things up?
Yeah, man, the PC is kind of non-existent at this point. There's so much time spent everywhere else right now. I barely have time for anything. And so, the PC and then obviously just growing and scaling and hiring people. It's just, everything's kind of going into that, all my time and money. And so, the PC's taking a hit that hasn't grown. There's things that I won't sell if it's things that cards that kind of me and my wife both that kind of mean something to us, or any gifts I've ever gotten. So there's certain cards or items people have just gifted me. I'll never sell any of that stuff. And that's all going to remain PC no matter what it costs. But a lot of things that just, that it made sense to let go to kind of put elsewhere and expand. Just those things have gone. But I would say percentage wise now, PC is very low. I don't know, a few percent of everything. And then I would say sealed investment now is probably I don't know. I would say 65, 70%. And then the 30, 35% is probably the packs for pack breaks now. Cause I am starting to try to build a bigger inventory of packs. So I'm not constantly running out and having to order more. And so I'm trying to get up to position sizes of, having 2,000 or 3,000 packs of each set on hand.
Sure. That makes sense. How has it been? I see you post a lot saying buying packs, this set, this price. How has that been sourcing? Has it been people coming to you at this point, people come to you for the most part? You put out an Instagram post and they just come to you, or you're having to work to get these packs?
Yeah. Making those posts kind of is it. I make the post and then it's just, dude, it's so time consuming. It's so time consuming to go back and forth with that many different people, because it's very rare you have someone reach out and they're just hey, I've got 3,000 packs of everything you're looking for. It's a couple hundred here, a few hundred there. I've got 25 of this set, 50 of this, 75 of this, and you can take them. And so I always have just so many packages coming in at all times. And but yeah, so that it's definitely time consuming, but I would say it is relatively easy to find them once I put out those posts, just because my following, and then they get shared to people that see it, to their followings or friends that have packs. And so it's been relatively simple to find packs. And I also find that judging from like other streamers, people I know in the business, I usually pay a little better than a lot of the other guys do, which
Okay.
makes it a little easier for me.
Sure. No, that makes sense. Yeah. Pay a little bit more, make it easy to come to you.
Yeah, I'll kind of see what they're charging, and I'll up it like 25 or 50 cents a pack, and that way I kind of get the customers.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. Okay, jumping around again. What's your favorite Pokemon of all time if you had to pick one?
Mewtwo.
Okay.
I'm a Gen 1 guy, man.
Yeah.
Mewtwo's always going to be the best and strongest to me. I mean, ever since like the show, like, the first movie, Giovanni's Mewtwo, like, basically like made play toys out of every Pokemon, and then, trying to catch him and finally getting him in the game using the Master Ball if you couldn't get him with the Ultra Ball. And then just, it was like usually one of the strongest in the game if you built it up. And so like, it's just always been my favorite since the beginning. Okay. Not so much the card. Like, it wasn't like I was really into the base set Mewtwo card. It was more of like the character itself.
Okay, cool. Gyarados over here for me.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing you got to have a shining Gyarados in your collection.
It's not yet.
What?
I know.
Dude, how can you be the biggest Gyarados fan without the best one?
It's my grail. It's my holy grail. It's I want a first edition, right?
Yeah.
So
PSA 10.
Yeah. So you're looking at what, like 11 grand, I think, somewhere around that, plus or minus. So I did pick up recently a Misty's Gyarados and a Giovanni's Gyarados first edition, only in a 9, just kind of as like a preemptive for with the Misty's Gyarados card coming from the Destined Rivals set. I don't know if you see. I don't know if you go too hard into the seeing the Japanese cards, as some of them have been leaking out. But so there's a little preemptive play. But plus, I was like, I'll pick them up for my PC anyways, and then later down the road, I'd love to upgrade them to PSA 10s, and it'll happen at some point. But at least I have some 9s, so I got them displayed over here on my little thing. So Gyarados for me, for sure, and vintage too. Base set and vintage stuff, near and dear to my heart. Next up, okay. I feel like you have a lot of these, but if you had to pick one, what's your current hot take, or it doesn't have to be a hot take, or just something lately that's been kind of getting some hate, maybe undeservedly so. I'll start with just a little one. And I would say that people hate me when I say this. I haven't said it too much. That the 151, the Charizard, the SIR, is the worst of the 3 starters, in my opinion, art-wise. I like the Venusaur and the Blastoise more. If
I agree with that,
to be honest. But people really love the Sunzard, and once again, it's like nothing against anyone who loves it. It's a nice card, but I just thought he's too small in the thing. But I like the other ones way better art-wise. I don't know if that's that hot of a take, but
I actually agree with that. Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense, right? I mean, the Blastoise is obviously head and shoulders above it. I mean, Venusaur is a little, I would say, definitely like not the craziest artwork, but yeah, I mean, Charizard's just it's a little plain.
Yeah.
Hot take, man. I got so many of them, you know me. Here's my hot take is that the market is operating as a fair market should.
Okay.
I mean, it's just like, it's easy to always complain about something, right? Like,
sure.
I have one distributor, right? And I'm a very small account, full transparency. I'm getting one case of Journey Together, which will go on my shelf. It'll be my one case investment for now, right? And so like every other pack I sell on stream, I have to go open market and pay open market pricing and all that. And it's just like, it's fair, right? Like I could easily complain and be like, well, why are all these other people getting all this product? Like, no, it's fair, right? Because they've been around, they spent money, they've built up their inventories. I talk with Pokey NE. Like Pokey NE's been around for years, buying up every set. But you probably remember, but like, a couple of years ago, everyone was complaining, like, or not complaining, but saying, why do I need a distributor, right? I can just go on and buy from P Football Pete on eBay and get the same pricing, or I can just pre-order from Safari Zone and get $90 or $95 boxes. I don't need a distributor. Well, then people like him were buying the boxes from the distributors and buying max amounts, even when it wasn't a good deal. And it's like, now this time comes around and they're getting large allocations and people are mad. And it's just like, no, that's fair. That's a fair market. And so like, it sucks that it's not as much stuff in the stores and everything, but it's just like, the market price, when it favors people, they hate it. When it doesn't favor people, everyone's okay with it. And, almost make fun of you. I mean, I can't remember how many times I got made fun of for investing in Pokemon the last couple of years, and then now you get hated for it because it's finally worth money. So that's my hot take: is the market is fair.
Okay. Yeah, no, I could see how some people might fight back against that, saying that there's a lot of manipulation, and which, you know,
For sure.
I do think we're seeing some of that with singles. There's definitely some singles,
sure.
some people targeting buyouts and stuff like that. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
And to anyone, I guess for anyone like that, I can say is like, for anyone that's new and gets in after that happens, I feel for. Like, I feel for those people. For anyone that's been in before it happens, I have no sympathy, because I asked them, why didn't you buy it?
Yeah,
why didn't you buy the drowsy card when no one wanted it? Why didn't you buy 151 when it was falling off Costco shelves at $80 in UBC? Like, if you were there and you didn't buy it, I can't help you.
Yeah, I mean, we're all guilty of it, right? And it's the human nature thing of.
But now, if you're jumping in the market, like if someone's maybe found the Pokemon Pocket app and then they just started collecting, those are the people I truly feel for right now. Anyone that's been here for, I would say, like 6 months plus, it's hard to feel for those people because you had all these same opportunities I did, and they just didn't buy, right? They got on the bandwagon hating on Scarlet Violet Era, saying Crown Zenith was too overprinted to buy, ETBs are $40, saying Shrouded Fable's a terrible set. It's just like, there's, you know, saying all these takes, and it's just like, you know, oh, I'm going to wait on Scarlet Violet. It's going to get printed into the ground. Don't buy for at least a year to 2 years after release. And it's just like, now that all those, you know, thoughts became wrong, now you're mad at everyone who did buy. It's like, I can't get on board with that.
Yeah, no, that totally, it makes sense. Yeah. And I mean, like you said, booster boxes were readily available everywhere. You know,
it wasn't until Surging Sparks.
Yeah. Well, I'd say like Twilight. I started to see it. Well, I mean, they were still available and cheap, but like Twilight was the one that, like, because I didn't like Twilight. I was vocal about, this is not a good set. I didn't really like it. I liked the Greninja, and like, it had some nice cards, but I didn't think it was going to perform. I don't think anybody could call that it was going to perform. And it kind of flipped the switch. That Greninja really started carrying things, and then the box, anyways. But before,
I would like to hear the people who knew that. Like, I sure didn't. I had no idea Twilight was going to do that.
Yeah, and that's when it started to turn, and then it ramped up. I feel like, in my opinion, after that. But yeah, man, I remember getting some SV base boxes at like $80, low 80s. But yeah, people don't like, they like to do the whole thing of, they don't like that set, and then all of a sudden, oh, it's worth money now, it's worth more. Oh, I like it. And you know, that's a human nature, the price tag that's always attached to, you know, and that's why we collect them too. You know, they're worth
and like
money.
I said, I'm more on the side of the average like collector, like, because I do feel for what people are saying right now. The people I'm more upset at is like the smaller stores who are complaining how they can't get enough boxes from the distributor, and it's just like, wait a second, when the boxes were $80, like you just said, were you guys ordering from your distributor? Were you guys ordering Paradox Rift when they had cases and cases piled to the ceiling and they were trying to dump it, or were you holding off because you had enough inventory? Right? Yeah. The stores, people that were still buying everything they could and still helping the distributors out when things were bad, they're the ones getting helps now. And all the other stores and all the people who have distributor accounts are crying now because they're not getting enough. It's like, because you're trying to be a fair weather buyer, you can't just buy when things are good. You have to buy all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, and yeah, especially if you had established distribution already before, you could have been building up you know, your reputation with that distributor. You're like, I mean, you use Pokey. He's one of the big examples of, he talks about how much of that crap stuff he's been buying, you know, to get the good product. Right. So you got to pay to play, and he's reaping some of those benefits now.
Right.
But yeah, the newcomer, it is unfortunate, like you said. And it's rough. And yeah, I would be, I can understand why people bounce off right now. They come in and they go, oh, I want to, you know, and they just immediately bounce off. And, you know, maybe they'll come back in a year. Hopefully things are better by then, to some extent. I don't know how long this is going to go for. I don't think anybody really knows for certain. But, you know, at some point things will cool off at least a little. But and hopefully it'll be a better time for people to come back. Next question. Do you have a favorite set or a favorite era?
Well, I'll say I mean, it's hard, right? Because it's like, in terms of like collecting, in terms of like, you know, investment potential, I would say just in terms of like collecting or opening, I think Cosmic Eclipse does it for me.
Okay.
I think the reason is because it has all the tag teams in it, it has that what do they call it? Trainer. It's not trainer gallery. It's like character gallery or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's like even the regular hits are awesome hits. Like, you know, in a regular set, right? You have like a V or an EX. Like those are regular GX hits, those tag teams. And they're like there's some massive hits you could buy. So it's just like, even like the regular, you know, baseline ultra rare hits in those sets are amazing. And then they have such great, you know, tag team alt arts and such great like rainbows and things. I just think overall, like the deepness of Cosmic is what does it for me. But like the era, XY is always going to be my era, just because that's when I got back in the hobby. The other reason I like XY is I'm a Gen 1 person, right? So I was a kid when Gen 1, and I like how most XY sets are based around the original 151 Pokemon. Like Breakthrough is Mewtwo, you know, Fates Collide's Alakazam, and, you know, Flash Fire's Charizard, Breakthrough's Gyarados, and so on and so forth. You got evolutions, generations, but obviously mostly 151. So that's kind of my biggest thing is XY. Okay. What about you?
Well, I'm definitely any WotC era, honestly. I'd probably lean base set and Team Rocket if I had to pick sets.
Man, usually the vintage guy, like anyone likes the vintage, are always like EX Team Rocket Returns, like what Skyridge, Quapolis, none of that.
Amazing. I love it all, but yeah, I go down to base set and Team Rocket specifically. Just for my, I don't know, just the most nostalgia for me is in those eras, specifically those sets, growing up. And
so you're getting super excited for this set then.
I'm pretty pumped. I was a little disappointed that it's not a dedicated Team Rocket set. That got me. I wanted the black box with the big R on it, which I don't know if we'll get at all. It doesn't look like it, but maybe on the pack arts, I saw some pack art stuff that looked like maybe we might get a little bit of that. But so yeah, that was.
It's like they do it on purpose. It's like they know what we want and they purposely don't do it.
Right. Yeah, but I also like Ho-Oh. I played Pokemon Gold growing up. That was the version I chose. So you know, the Ethan's Ho-Oh. You know, there's some nostalgia there for me as well. So I'm pretty pumped for this next set. I do think we're in like a little bit of a lull. Like right before, like things were crazy. There still are, but they've come down and relaxed a little bit. And I think that Destined Rivals after Journey Together, I think Journey Together is kind of a step down of a set comparatively to Prismatic. It kind of has to be, in my opinion. But then I think we get Destined Rivals and it's going to be crazy. It might be, I don't know. I'm just getting this gut feeling that it's going to be even crazier than what we've been seeing the past few months.
What do you think about like when people like compare like the crypto markets to Pokemon?
You know,
I did a video today, and it is strange how basically all like the major cryptos are all pretty down right now.
Yeah,
over the past like week or so, and it's like I would say a couple weeks, I guess, and that's kind of when Pokemon's has been going stagnant, seeing some drops.
Yeah, I've heard I'm not too big into the crypto scene. Really, just like a little bit, right? I'm not really dabbling too much with it, and I don't really follow it too much, but I have had a lot of people talk about that correlation. And, you know, I kind of at first pushed it off of kind of just like, no, they're separate. But then you start to look at things a little bit. And, you know, I think there is something to be said there, but I'm not deep enough in it to know for sure. You know, I don't know how many crypto bros are really pulling their profits on and taking them into Pokemon. I don't know, but it is interesting. It's something that I should probably be a little more tuned into, if I'm being completely honest. You know, the correlation between the markets. I do think that that's kind of fascinating. I should probably check out your video on that. Maybe after this, check it out.
I mean, I didn't go super deep because I'm like you. I'm not super deep into it either. It's just it's weird how, you know, they do correlate pretty closely. And I've been when Pokemon Sword and Shields went stagnant, started to drop a little. We're seeing some of the like the main hits drop a little bit, like the 151 Zard, Bubble Mew, a lot of these PSA 10s. I started to look at the crypto markets. I'm like, well, yeah, those are dropping too.
Yeah, I mean, is Pokey Plumber? He's kind of in the crypto scene, right?
Lately, he is all of a sudden.
I mean, I'd be interested to get his take then, a little bit as someone who's more into it. But
yeah, I know he was all about it when it was going up. I haven't heard him talk about it as much now. But
okay, yeah, he simmered down a little bit. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting.
You know how that is.
Yeah, for sure. Next up, I wanted to talk about not really the drama aspect of it, but I did want to talk about the Pokey Rev. He made a video. If you guys aren't familiar, he kind of was like blaming part of the problem indirectly, kind of at his video at investors. And Alex made a response video, which got Pokey Rev commenting back on it, which I did think was interesting. And the reason I bring it up was because he was I believe his comment was something along the lines of, "We can have a chat about this." So my question was, have you been in contact with him, and is there a video coming? Are you doing anything with him? That's my is that leading to anything, or was it just kind of it's done and over with and he's not getting back to you?
I actually never reached out to him, believe it or not.
Oh, okay.
I responded back to his comment,
Uh-huh.
and I just left it at that.
Okay.
Guys, look, I think most people know I have nothing against Pokey Rev. It's just someone sent me that video. I watched it, and I mean, literally, it wasn't that big of a deal. I didn't even think it was going to be that big of a deal.
Uh-huh.
Because I swear, I feel like I make content like that a lot. I've made content about other creators, but I guess because it was Pokey Rev, it's a big deal, so it kind of makes sense too. But no, I mean, it's just like, here's the thing: all of the big creators in this industry, they all invest. All of them.
Yeah.
Don't get it twisted. They all do. Like, name anyone, right? Pokey Rev, like Pokey Vault, Cool Trainer Ryan, Danny Phantom, like just name anybody. They invest, right? And it's just like, how are you going to come out and like throw investors under the bus when you guys were all doing this way before any of us were, and you owe a lot of your success and your net worth to this hobby because you invested. And it's just like, I don't know, it just rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, we've all seen, I feel like they haven't been doing it as much lately. But Cool Trainer Ryan and Pokey Rev, they've posted videos in the past of, a lot of stuff that they have, and it makes me wonder how much they really have too behind the scenes. But yeah, they're the biggest investors for real, for sure. But yeah, I just was wondering if anything had come of that. I didn't know if there was going to be a Nostalgia Nomics Pokey Rev interview, kind of like I mean, and he's
Pokey Plumber's in the chat. He's the one that's buddies with all those guys now. Tell him to get them on the podcast.
Can we get Pokey Rev in on the call, please? Pokey Plumber.
Come on, Nick.
Yeah. Yeah, let us know. Let us know if he's willing to join with like 30 seconds notice. No, that would be interesting. So yeah, I was just wondering. Once again, it wasn't meant to go too deep into the drama, but I just wanted to see if something.
Oh, you're good, man. Like I said, I'm cool to talk about anything. Nothing's too crazy for me. Like it's all fun at the end of the day.
Yeah, a lot of love for Pokey Plumber in the chat. Let's see. Next up, you kind of touched on this a little bit already, but I just wanted to dive into it a little bit more deeply. And you recently, like you said, you got distribution access recently, and your rip and ship looks like it's been growing. And you've been one of the most vocal investors on YouTube, I would say. Obviously there's bigger ones. You got your Rudy, your Alpha Investments, your big dogs, but you're probably one of the more vocal ones out there. So could you talk about the decision to go hard into rip and ship versus just allocating those funds into just sealed investing?
Yeah. So I was looking for a way to do this full time. At the time, at least, YouTube wasn't going to pay the bills. And I was ramping up my graded business. I always try to learn from people that are successful in the hobby, right? Like anyone that's successful in the hobby, I try to learn from what they're doing. And then I try it out myself and see if I like it. And, I was ramping up the graded card business because I had talked to guys like Catch 'em All Collectibles and some others, and that's kind of what they were doing. And so I tried that out, and, it was good. Like it was profitable. I was doing well, but I really wasn't like passionate about it. It really wasn't fun. And so I was just looking for other, streams of revenue. And I was walking around KC Collecticon. I think it was like 2023 maybe, with Pokey NE. And we were just, kind of BSing. And I was just like kind of talking to him about the same stuff. He's like, dude, why don't you try some rip and ships? I'm like, what do you mean? Like open packs on screen? He's like, yeah, dude, like that's how I got started out when I was starting out. I was doing them on Twitch or whatever, but yeah, I think you would do well with that. And he kind of like ran me through how it all worked. And, we had like a video chat and stuff, and he really helped me out get started. And, it started out good. It was just like it was great. It was like once a week, and it was like another form of revenue. I'm like, okay, there's something here. I can do a little of this, and then a little grading cards, a little YouTube, and I think I can do this. And so it was a way to like try to get out of, because I didn't like what I was doing for a job. So it was a way to get out of that and do this full time. And that's kind of just how it started, and it just evolved from there.
Okay. So was it it was just as a way to jump into it full time. It wasn't like at the time had you thought of like if I can move enough product, it can help me get to distribution. Was that a force, a foresight for that, or
That's
just
actually funny. It's funny too, because like, not to keep bringing Brian up, but funny enough, because we were on a live stream, he came on my channel for a live stream, and funny enough, a sales rep from a distributor happened to be in the live stream where we were talking, and I was mentioning, yeah, I really need to, be able to find a way to get distribution, and they reached out to me. And so the distributor reached out to me, and it was all by chance. It was all by luck. You couldn't do it if you tried, I don't think.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Because I know distro access is real hard to get right now. Brick and mortar pretty much only, and even then very specific. So
yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know it was luck. I had assumed it was a little more thought out and like I can rip and ship, scale it up, and then they'll see my numbers, and then you could get in with them kind of thing. Because and that it is something that I've watched a few of the Pokey videos about him talking about his distribution, because who wouldn't want to have distribution access, right?
I had another deal I was working where, and I actually did end up buying out an LGS of all their inventory because they were closing up, and then I was in talks to work to buy out their distribution access because they had multiple distributors and built accounts, and so that those talks were happening. But then all of a sudden, because they had partners, the partners decided to sell to a local store, and so that kind of fell through, and so that was the only really distributor access I went after. The other one was just complete by accident, which is crazy.
Okay. Interesting. So are you, on that note, because you're, you said your numbers are limited with one distro, are you looking, how hard is it after one to go to two? Is that become more viable, or?
I mean, I don't know how hard it is to get another one without a physical location, but
yeah,
I do know that, I mean, the numbers are so abysmal without, here's the problem, right? There's nothing to buy. And I know people say that, like people in the outside world, they think like, well, you could buy other stuff like besides booster boxes. No, you don't understand. When I go on my distribution website, there are like 3 items available in all of Pokemon. And like one of them, I think is like a binder. Like there's no packs, there's no cards, there's no tins, there's no boxes, there's no sleeve blisters, there's not even battle decks or battle academies left. They're all gone. And so like, you can't even get your spend up if you wanted to right now. And so it's like, I just feel like right now it's so, with everyone, wanting every bit of Pokemon they can get, it's so hard to build an account right now. So I'm not worried about it. I just kind of take what I can get. I'm waiting for like kind of the heat to die down, everyone to kind of not like things anymore, everything to get cheap. And then I'll start building up my allocations then when no one wants the stuff. So right now I'm just kind of sitting back.
Okay. That makes sense. That makes total sense. As as an outsider to the distribution, it's always, I like hearing even somebody who's newer to it, I like hearing the insights on it. So it is always interesting. And I've had, I've thought about, I don't think it's feasible for me for several reasons, but opening a card store, an LGS, there is one. I have a very, very, very small local one here, and kind of planning out, like, could that be possible for the distribution, what it would actually cost? It just doesn't seem, the rent alone just for the space is going to be so. Anyways, I've looked into it, and if you can't get product right now, it'd be a horrible time to try and dive in on that. That kind of
Magic's just as bad right now.
Yeah. What would you say? Okay, well, just going off of that, since you've scaled things up and you lucked into the distribution currently now, and you're doing this full time, where is the end? What's the end Nostalgia Nomics goal? Where does Alex see himself for the future? Is it just keeping where you're at, scaling? Is it transforming in any way, or where do you currently have your sights set?
So going back to like, doing things I enjoy content. I think I was asked before, if you could do one thing, what would it be? It'd be make content. Right. So I definitely do not want to let the content side of things slide at all, even though the rip and ships and the business are getting, taking a lot more time. And so, and then another thing is, the guy that I hired, he's a good friend of mine that I grew up with. And my goal for him is to make him more integral in the business and eventually get him up to making a good income as well. Whatever way that is. We're talking about it. I'm trying to figure out which way I want to go with it. If it means adding, more streams, or like, branching out to a different platform like a Whatnot or something where I could bring him up to stream as well, and then get another person or two for the shipping and things like that. Because like you said, I don't think the card shop is the answer right now.
Yeah.
And I also don't think like, I don't know, maybe I could get back to the grading place. It's just like the content, the ripping packs, all that, it excites me. Like I actually like it, right? Like, and so whereas, the grading thing, it's an income, but I don't really care much for it.
Sure.
So that, I'm trying to go more towards the content streaming side to grow the business.
Okay. No, that makes sense. Real quick, I just wanted to shout out to Celestial TCG. Says, "What's good, fam? Love the collab so far. Appreciate you. You guys do not have to super chat. We'll get to your questions. I mean, I appreciate it. But yeah, huge shout out to Celestial TCG for that. Let's see. We got another one here. We'll just take this while we're here before we go any further. Pokey Mindset says, new Pokey tubers push, buy this now, but don't show inventory or recent buys. Should they put their money where their mouth is and have skin in the game? I think that's a great question. And I understand 100% where you're coming from. And albeit, I'll just take it first. As far as that's something that I believe in, I try to not, I try to not personally say, hey, this is what I'm buying or this is what you should buy, unless it's something that I'm buying, like actively buying or looking to purchase. I mean, recently talking about Evolving Skies, which has been up recently. When I made my video talking about Evolving Skies, I had just purchased an Evolving Skies box for $1,000, right? I'm not, let's be clear here, just for the sake of this video, it's not a comparison thing, but I'm not as big as Alex. Okay. Alex isn't as big as Rudy, right? There's levels to this, but like, as far as like showing what you have, it could be kind of like a weird, like bragging contest kind of too. I think it can kind of be a bad look of showing like, all these cases and stuff too. So like you want to be, relatable and not, it can kind of turn people off too. And I'm not saying that I have a ton, because like I said, I feel like I'm a little smaller fish in the sea here when it comes to this. But how do you feel about showing off like what you have and that kind of thing? Because you've made your videos, right, where you got your pallets, or not your pallets, but your cases behind you, right? So how do you feel about that?
You're damned if you do, damned if you don't, man. Like, if you don't, you're gonna get people saying that you're a poser. That like, what Catch 'em All Collectibles made the best one. He says, Pokemon investing cosplayers. So, but yeah, you'll think people will just say like you're a faker, and then you'll make a video in front of all of it, and they'll just like, come at you for being what's wrong with the hobby. And so it's like, you really can't win with people. And so like my whole thing was, I just want to make a couple of videos showing off some of the stuff that I have, so people like knew that, oh, okay, he actually is credible and is putting his money where his mouth is type thing. But I don't feel the need to like go through and show everything that I have and like show all my numbers and all that. It's just like, dude, if I haven't, proven enough with my content or, with what I do have or with what I've said, then hey, at that point, I can't do any more for you. It's really funny when you think about that. It's just like people literally see it happen before their eyes, right? They'll see all of us like give advice, make our channels, talk about what we're doing. They'll see us get more and more successful doing the exact thing we say to do. And they still like are in disbelief or shocked when it works. And they still come at you and tell you it won't work. It's just like, well, then how did it work? And so it's like, well, hey, if you're still not going to listen, you still think it's all BS, I can't help you anymore. That's the route I take.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's either you're not showing enough or you're showing too much and you're too disconnected from the world and you have too much money. I mean, once again, I've had somebody comment, it was a while ago. I'm sure you get it more, but somebody was like, look at what he's got on the wall. He's got hundreds of thousands of dollars of product. And I'm like, where? I wish. I took it as a compliment of saying like, okay, well, you think that based off of just because I have a few slabs up on the wall and a few boxes, which is, I guess, nice, but it's kind of a double-edged sword where, as a viewer, especially if you're seeking advice from someone, you want to see that they're involved. So I totally get it what Pokey Mindset's saying. But yeah, it's like you said, it's kind of a double-edged sword on that one.
Yeah, it's really funny too. I've had people, it's 'cause I don't make a big deal out of subscriber numbers, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like you can get great advice no matter what size anyone's channel is, and you can get terrible advice to from really large channels, right?
Sure.
But like, it's really weird that like the people in the comments make a bigger deal about it, or people that make YouTube videos about me make a bigger deal about it than I even do. Like, they'll say things like, well, he's got 25,000 subscribers now. He's out of touch. He's just too big now to understand. It's like, guys, go back 2 years in my videos, compare what I was saying then to what I'm saying now. It's almost identical. It's just like I'm saying the same things, whether just because like you get more views or you get more subscribers, it doesn't change the fact that you still believe and you still do the same exact things that got you there. Rip and shifts is definitely a part of my business now. So I do incorporate that in some of the content, and I do use the data points I gain from having all that information now. But yeah, it's this weird thing. It's just like, everyone wants to see you do well until you reach a certain level, or maybe you start doing better than them or something. Then they're against you. Then you're the enemy. It's just like everyone cheers for you on the way up. Then once you get to a certain point, that's where you become, too big. You're out of touch. We're gonna root for someone else now, some other underdog. And it's very strange how humans are like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you're probably getting there now. You're probably having people say, "I remember you when you were 1,000 subs, bro. You've changed."
A little bit. Not too much, but yeah, it does happen. It's kind of like a weird. It's kind of like a weird thing, and it's kind of like, for you've been in it longer than me, content creation much longer than me, right? And it's like, well, you're gonna beat the guy up because he put in the work, because he put in the videos, because he was buying before you. I mean, kind of how we were talking about, buying when the prices were cheaper. It's like, just because somebody put in the work doesn't mean you should hate them. But yeah, you can't please everyone, and if you have haters, I think you're doing it right, honestly. We got another Celestial TCG, another legend in here. I don't know what this Guppy Gang is about, but shout out to the Guppy Gang and some bozo
Ethan,
plumber.
yeah.
Team Guppy.
They started it like because everyone's always talking about the whales, so they call themselves Guppies.
Guppies. Okay, yeah, I could be a little Guppy. I like that. A little Magikarp.
Part of the Guppy Gang, baby.
Yeah, I'll be a Magikarp out there. I like that. I like the Guppy Gang. That's cool.
Some bozo plumber.
Yeah. Nick, it's Nick, right? Pokey Plumber is Nick. Is that correct? Nick, if you're still in here, we do have a question relating to you a little bit coming up shortly. We're going to do a little section here real quick, so you feel free to chime in. We're going to do a little bit of a rapid fire, just like this or that kind of. Just answer these questions as quickly as you can. No rush.
All right, I'm ready.
A little fun thing. All right, here we go. 151 or Crown Zenith?
151.
Prismatic or Evolving Skies?
Evolving Skies.
Lost Origin or Fusion Strike?
Fusion Strike.
Sword and Shield era or Scarlet and Violet era?
Scarlet Violet era. Hands down. Not even close.
Bubble Mew or Greninja?
Bubble Mew.
Journey Together or Surging Sparks?
I haven't even seen it yet. That's so hard.
Yeah.
I'll take Surging Sparks, I guess.
Okay. Booster Box or SV era PC ETB?
Oh my gosh, that's the question, right? I'm gonna say Booster Box because it's more like proven. But man, dude, the PCTB could end up being like the investment of a generation.
Gold or silver?
Silver. I was a silver guy. I know you were a gold guy. I was a silver guy.
Red, blue, or yellow?
I'll take yellow.
Who has more product, you or Pokey Plumber?
Pokey Plumber.
Okay, really? Okay, I
wasn't sure on
that one. He's
by like 3x.
Okay. Christmas or Halloween?
Christmas.
Battle styles or temporal forces?
Temporal.
Okay, perfect. That's it. I just wanted to do a little shake it up, a little rapid fire questions here, just to kind of get things going. So Pokey Plumber, 3x. He's 3x, 3 times.
I mean, I don't know, but he's definitely more than me.
His backdrop is impressive. Nick, your backdrop is impressive. He commented on my video the other day, and he said you got a nice backdrop, and I'm like, come on, man, come on. But yeah, no, he's epic. I strive for that.
Yeah, I mean his love for Sword and Shield's a little iffy because Scarlet Violet's clearly like gonna stomp it. But I mean, hey man, he's still a good guy.
Yeah, he seems like a really nice guy. I've just interacted with him a few times on social. So, all right. So that kind of does it for like most of my questions that I had. I have a few little last little things. to talk about, and then we could get
Yeah.
to if anyone has any questions in the chat. I wanted to ask you about if you were able to, and I think it's a good thing just to talk about in general, is the Pokemon Center, the queue system that they've implemented.
Yeah.
Were you able to, did you utilize that when they did it was the Journey Together, they did another PC ETB drop. Did it work for you? Were you able to get in on that? And what do you think of that moving forward?
I wasn't able to get any, no.
Okay, just because you weren't at the right time, or
I guess so, yeah.
okay.
Maybe I was just too late.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think anything they can do, like, I'm not a tech guy, but like, it seems like these sites, there should be a way to where you can limit the amount of products that can be shipped to one address. I don't know why they don't do that. Like, maybe if you have a bunch of family members and friends that will all order for you, great, like do that. But like, that would take away the bots and using all kinds of different credit cards and different accounts. If they just had a system where it said, oh, no, we already have a shipment going to this address. Literally only 2 boxes can go to this address. Everyone else, you can't order anymore from this. And that way it wouldn't be like, oh, well, this is my wife ordering. Nope, already going to that address. And so I think if they could figure out something to do that, I think that would help a lot.
Okay. I will say I missed the first, being West Coast in California. They did that first Journey Together drop. It was like savage. It was like 5 a.m. So by the time I was up, I missed that first one. But the queue system for me on that last drop, I was able to get 2 PC ETBs. At least, hey, getting some. I was happy. The queue system worked. I waited in it for a while. Some people are saying in the chat right here, queue system helped me. Another one here. So that was actually really nice. It was nice to see that they actually did something. On my end, I just wanted to see, like, at least try something, as far as that. So I think that, at least for some people, is working. It's been nice to see. Tailing off of that, Pokemon recently made an announcement that, they're ramping up production. Supposedly, they're going to print more. Do you think that, one, that's going to even do any sort of dent? And two, do you think was it even real? Like, was it just like a, hey, we're ramping stuff up, calm down, but they're not actually doing anything? I mean, and I do understand. We talked when we talked with Pokey Oz a little bit about, you have to have the building to put the new, if you're expanding, you have to have a building, whether you own it, you rent it, you got to put the printers in, then you're scaling up. It's not like an overnight thing that you can scale as far as expanding that way, unless they're already not printing, 24/7. But like, what are your thoughts? Like, was that just crowd control, damage control on that announcement, or?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think they are printing as much as they can. I mean, I think people are just they don't understand like the overwhelming amount of product that's being ripped through, and I think that kind of like doesn't. I don't know. It plays into their emotions and mind, where they don't understand that, like, just because they're not able to get their hands on stuff doesn't mean they're not still cramming so much product down our throats into this market. You're just not seeing it because it's getting eaten up so quick. And it's like, I mean, I know a lot of store owners got massive allocations of this last 151 bundle, like a lot of booster bundles. There were a lot of Blooming Waters boxes. Like there were infinite Sea and Sky boxes from Crown Zenith, right? Like there was, I mean, think of how many Crown Zenith ETBs were around. Like people thought those were going to be bricks for ages. Yeah. And things get eaten up so much faster than they ever have in the past. And I think that is what is really throwing people for a loop. So no, I think what Pokemon will likely do is this is going to hurt a lot of people's, feelings or something, but they're likely not going to reprint a lot of the sets. They're likely going to focus all their attention on trying to get down a few of the big ones to manageable prices, like Prismatic, like Surging, like some of these new sets. I think it's extremely unlikely we're going to see large scale reprints for really anything before Twilight. That's my take. Yeah, so I think they're kind of like telling the truth. I think they're probably going to like turn things up on certain sets, but I think they're probably already cranking at full capacity, just trying to keep everything somewhat decent price, and it's just not happening.
Yeah. No, I kind of agree. Especially with like they can't reprint every set, like you said. So maybe they reprint a few of the sets that are a little bit older. Maybe I mean I don't know. But like there's definitely going to be sets that fall through the cracks because with the increased demand moving forward, they're just not going to be able to.
Here, I'll ask you this question. Could I ask my co-host Eli, Pokemart USA, the same question. I want to hear your response. All right. So if you had two choices, right, on picking up boxes now for investment for like future growth, right?
Yeah.
In a year from now, do you think you'd be better off buying one of every box in this era or waiting on every box in this era for a year?
Oh, okay. So SV era. Ooh, see, that's kind of interesting.
I know.
So
I know.
you're,
And here's the thing though, right? The very fact that you couldn't come up with an answer right away, that
uh-huh.
tells you it's likely not going to be better in the future.
Yeah,
Because if everyone truly thought, oh, this is all going to get reprinted into the ground, it's all going to be cheap, it's all going to crash, that'd be an easy answer. Oh, I'm going to wait a year. But the
uh-huh.
fact that we don't even know tells me it's likely probably going to go the other way.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, and luckily, I've been, I don't know how to.
Because it's easy to say, well, they'll probably reprint Surging Sparks. Maybe they get a
Yeah,
reprint of Twilight. But then you start thinking, you're like, well, what about Temporal? Ooh, what about Paradox? Obsidian? Paldea? SV Base? Like Paldean Fates? 151? Yeah, I'd probably just rather buy one of everything.
yeah. I mean, the it's look, and what's crazy too. You're probably right. Of that actually might be the way. I guess if I had to answer, I guess you bite the bullet. Like you said, Surging, I'd probably hold off on some other sets, maybe. But
Right.
if you're gonna have to, if you weren't able to get boxes before, and you're having to buy them now, then yeah,
I think it becomes a lot easier question if you said like Temporal Forces back to SV Base. Like I think it's pretty easy. I would say buy one of each.
yeah.
I think you're gonna come out better, than because I just don't see all of those getting reprinted. If not, maybe very few, maybe one or two, if that. Like it's very unlikely at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's and I think Temporal's the last box left standing on Pokemon Center still currently. For now. I wonder how long that's gonna last.
I know.
It's like I'm just waiting for that last one to drop, and then it's like, what are we gonna do when Pokemon Center? What does it look like when it's just a wasteland of nothing available, like at all? Like I feel like that's right around the corner at this point.
Yeah.
Which is kind of
we
scary.
know what happens when Pokemon Center sells out.
Yeah, I know. Let's see what else. I think. I mean, I kind of wanted to. Maybe you could, if you wanted to theorize a little bit on last topics before questions, is theorize on any of Journey Together and like Destined Rivals. I know Destined Rivals is so far out we haven't even seen like anything from it, but like Journey Together, where are we going to end up? Like booster box wise, like where do you think, or is that box going to like creep up to 300? I mean, because what we're seeing right now, I mean, I still think it's kind of like honestly a more mid set, in my opinion. I don't really love it.
Yeah.
So I don't think
my take's going to be the same as Stellar Crown.
Okay.
It just doesn't matter what they put in the set right now. It's going to go up.
Yeah.
Because Stellar Crowns, I would say, is probably a pretty mid set.
Yeah.
But it's $90 a box now because, well, it was released during a bull market.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no. Okay. Well, I
think if Journey Together was released like a year and a half ago, we'd have a very different story.
Oh, for sure.
So I just think it's just the market we're in.
Agreed. Okay. All right. Well, then I think that's all we have for my my questions I wrote down. If anyone has anything,
what about you, man? I want to hear something. Like,
sure.
What? Yeah, what's kind of your goal here? Is your goal to kind of more go to the content route, or have you have other like business aspirations?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would love. So I have had another YouTube channel. I still have it. I just haven't really been doing much content on it. It's an off-roading thing. And I actually off of that I started. Long story short, I was a welder for like 10 years. Sanitary stainless steel in the wine industry. Doing some TIG welding is what I specialized in. I just recently quit my job, my 9 to 5, in tailing off of the off-road thing. I started a business in 2020 that's like a tire inflation product essentially for off-roading. We don't need to go too deep into it, but anyways, I am full-time being my own boss, running my own business now. My wife works from home as well. She has her own business. So,
awesome.
And as nice as it is to be my own boss and in charge, assembling, air hose systems and shipping them out isn't really what I love. So if I could, I would love to, do the content thing full time. Right now I have the time. I do have time because I can do daily videos, which is really nice with my schedule. I would love to just keep growing this if it was able to scale. I don't know what that would lead towards exactly, but I would love to. I love shiny cards, shiny cardboard.
Is this your bigger channel or is that one bigger?
This one actually just surpassed the other one. I had more growth on this one in the past 6 months than I had in 5 years on the other channel.
That's awesome.
And it's hard to make like an off-roading video, especially for me here.
So are you making 2 videos a day, one for each channel?
No. I haven't been doing that. The off-roading thing's been a little bit fallen by the wayside. It's been a little bit neglected. I do want to get back to it because it's a big passion of mine. I do like to, I have a Jeep, I go off-roading, and building stuff for the Jeep and stuff too with the welding background kind of tailed into that. But so right now it's just so much easier to make content. For this, I can hop on, I can pull up TCG Player, you pull up some charts, right? You just talk about some stuff. So I would love to do this more full time. I want to get that. We talked about before the stream, the viewers weren't on, but I want to get that Shining Gyarados. I want that in a PSA 10 first edition, right? So that's where my investing came from, because I came in COVID, right? And everything was so expensive and it was depressing. And a vintage guy, right? So I was wanting that. Stuff was so expensive and I didn't want to put that much money into it. So I thought, I do some sealed investing and then maybe down the road I can buy these Grail cards that I want. But yeah, then I'd already made YouTube videos and just I had done so much research and was so deep into the Pokemon scene. And I do sports cards a little bit. I've fallen off of that a little bit as well, but I enjoy sports cards as well. That I was like, I'll just make a channel just because, I already know how to make YouTube videos. It's not that hard. And, once things started moving, I really enjoyed it. So I would like to keep doing the content. I just don't know in what capacity that's going to lead towards.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm happy to see it, dude. Like, it's just, I said it before in a video, it's just nice to see everybody in the hobby, like, not like some people I get that are like more like casual consumers and things, but like everyone who's like taking the hobby serious or content serious. It's just nice to see everyone growing and succeeding and doing well. I mean, I love to see it. So congrats, man.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah. I know that, I'm benefiting hugely right now from the boom, right? As coming in as a newer creator.
Right.
I was around before the boom, for this boom, I should say. So I was making content before then, but like I do realize that has been a big reason the channel has grown. So it's not lost on me. You were there grinding it out beforehand.
I did the same thing you did though. Like, because I was in the hobby for like 5 years, 6 years before I started a YouTube channel. And so like we kind of did the same thing. It's like we both kind of started after we've been in the hobby a long time.
Yeah. 2016 for me, Pokemon Go is kind of when I got back. My Pokemon interest came back, but I didn't get back into the cards like I should have at the time. It was just one of those things where it didn't, I still was playing the games and stuff, but I didn't kick myself all the time for not getting back into it sooner. But Caleb wants to know what your opinion on vintage is. My opinion on vintage is,
that's
kind of a broad question too. Like, what are you talking about? Investing, collecting? Like, we can slice this however way we want. But
yeah, sorry. I think there's a handful of cards in every era that are going to always perform well, and they're usually going to be some of your top hits, your most popular species, most rarest cards. But I think people get when they start going down the vintage rabbit hole, they get a little too like obsessed with population reports and a little too obsessed with like getting like too deep in like the weeds and too deep down the rabbit hole in the sets and like studying all these different releases and this card here, this card, all these real niche areas. And the reality is a lot of those things are just really never going to see much movement. And, I would say like the top 10% of vintage is probably like where you want to stay. And maybe you can get lucky and one thing here or there will pop off. But I think a lot of the stuff is just like, it's kind of had its day. It's probably going to, kind of stay around where it's at forever because it doesn't have a lot of interest in a lot of those kind of deeper cards. It's almost like the way I would explain it. It's almost like think about your favorite bands, your favorite artists, right? Everyone knows and like wants to listen to, wants to go to concerts, hear the top songs, but only like the true fans are going to know all the deep tracks and like, oh, did you know, like, they left a secret track at the end of this track. Like no one's going to, the majority of people will never know that. And that's how I feel like a lot of vintage stuff is I think the people who are really into it are really into it. and it almost like clouds their judgment because they don't realize most people are never going to be really into it. If that makes sense.
No, yeah, no, that does make sense. Yeah, for me, I can't get the collector side out for vintage. It's like I want to have, like I said, the Shining Gyarados. I want to have a base set booster box. I'd love to own a base set booster box, and probably never open it, but it would just be one of those things that I want all those expensive things.
Yeah. I mean, dude, it was one of the hardest days when I had to sell my vintage boxes. Like,
and that was during like the peak of COVID-ish.
Well, I missed the peak, but yeah, close.
Ish. Okay.
Yeah, but like, man, it's just like because I was a collector, right? I was buying them, for my collection. Obviously, I was an investor too. I wanted them to appreciate, but I had no intention to sell. And even when they doubled, like, and all the boxes doubled, I didn't have any intention to sell. It wasn't until they went up like 10x when I was just like, oh, this is like life-changing money now. And it's almost irresponsible for me to keep these collectibles in my safe when me and my wife aren't in a position to really own things this expensive. We just got lucky and do. And so, like, yeah, man, that's kind of what I sold. But like, yeah, I would love. I joke about it sometimes. Like, I almost wish the market would have never went crazy back then because I probably still own a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah. That would those ones would probably eat me up a little bit, letting some of those go if it was me personally. But money's money. Taking gains is taking gains, so you can't really complain. And
well, here, put it this way: I let one of I would say probably my favorite card in the hobby go this year. Last year. The Shiny Mewtwo GX from Shining Legends.
Oh, okay.
And so I owned that card in PSA 10, bought it way back when it was like $300. And man, it just spiked to the moon recently. And I'm just like, well, it just makes sense to sell it at this price.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those things where it's like, I'm definitely one of those people that has a price on most things where I'm not one of those people. It's like, oh, it's priceless. I'll never sell it. Take it to my grave. I definitely have a price for most things, I would say.
So if things scaled up, if things keep going good, you grow, say, you're making a better amount off of YouTube and everything, right? Are you going back? Are you going back to the well? Are you going back to purchasing some of those ones you let go away?
For sure.
That's if things were good.
If I feel like it's like, I guess, a fair price or not even a fair price. I guess if I feel the market stabilized and the price point makes sense to me again. Cause even if I had the money, I just like, I don't know. I still have that like financial bug in me to where I can't, if I feel like it's overpriced, overvalued or whatever, I still just can't pull the trigger even if I want it. Cause it doesn't make sense to me. It's almost like, if I wanted to go buy a sports car or something, but I feel like the market on sports cars is too crazy.
Yeah.
Even if I could afford it, I wouldn't buy it. Cause I feel like I'd be like buying something I think is going to lose massive value. Mm-hmm. And so, I think if it got to the point where things made sense to me, I probably would.
Okay. Yeah. Sports cards have burned me. And I've also been on the other end of making pretty good gains off of, especially some grading plays with some speculative athletes. But Charizard can't tear his ACL, so that's where we're at. And speaking of Charizard, Leaf Ocean says he wants to talk about gold stars like Charizard and Ray, seeing much more growth in the next 5 to 10 years. I mean, I feel like Alex kind of talked about this a little bit already. Yeah. I kind of tend to agree. Like, I don't know how much growth that there would really like. If you're talking about investing, I'm not going to be investing in cards like that. I'm going sealed modern stuff. I think there's more potential to double, triple, quadruple in price and then over the next 5 to 10 years than some of the gold stars, personally.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird, right? Because there's the cards that the whales are going to go after, and those are probably going to pump, right? They're going to do things like the sports card and comic book markets did, like with the first, issues and like the Mickey Mantle, all that stuff. Yeah. But, those are kind of going to be more of those like Illustrator, first edition based Charizard, like more of those types of things. Like, now definitely some of this stuff like gold stars, we'll probably see some of that, like, because whales are going to go after the biggest, the baddest, the most rare, the most expensive, the highest grade. Like those things are going to do well. It's just how far down do the whales like want? And then like, the new stuff, the modern stuff, right? That's always really good because you're able to get in at the ground floor and it's going to go through its growth phase until it gets to its collectability stage. But like the stuff in the middle, that's where I'm concerned about is like I don't want to be in that middle ground stuff where it's like, it's expensive, but it's really more for collectors. The whales don't really care about it. The casuals can't afford it. That's the stuff where I think is going to be much more stagnant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. Oahu Built says, this is I think this is a common thing that people struggle with, but I feel like you're talking to the right person with Alex. Alex sounds like he's moved past some of this. It's really hard to be a collector and a seller. I'm struggling to let go of my product. Where I think enough time in the market. I think that's
Do you
probably
sell?
a big what?
Do you sell anything of yours?
Sealed, not really. I haven't really moved any sealed. Well, that's not true. I moved off of some surging. I took some gains off of surging. I was locked in. I got $100 a box. I had to take some. I actually needed a new computer. It ended up being a trade. Worked out well for me. I'm happy with it. But I will sell some slabs. I like to grade. I do like to grade. Something I've gotten away from, especially and right now, wait times at PSA. It's a whole thing. So I sell some PSA cards, but other than that, not really, not yet.
Yeah.
I don't do a lot of speculative stuff with singles either. I do a little bit of just like even raw, pick up some stuff that I think is undervalued, but I'm mostly putting 90% into sealed modern. It just seems like it's such a no-brainer of a play and just let it ride. 5 to 10 plus years. Will I be able to? Hopefully I'll start thinking about it after 5 years is my goal. Will I be able to move off from it then? I don't know, because something I didn't expect, if I'm being completely honest, is I didn't expect to become a sealed collector now. Like I didn't care about the boxes before. Screw the boxes. I only wanted the cards. But now the boxes are kind of nice. I kind of like collecting the boxes. And so it's been a little bit of a new thing for me as far as that.
I think it's been a big change across the entire hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah. To answer the question though, it's extremely hard, man. It's really hard when you're trying to collect and be a seller at the same time. I don't have a good answer of how to go about it. I think eventually your collection is going to find its way into the sales bin, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's hard to take your emotions out of it, for sure. Yeah, that's the toughest part. Alexandria has a good comment, or good question. What are both of your opinions on grading right now? PSA seems to be getting longer and longer wait times with harder gem rates. Is this a time where just buying 10s is the best move? And pairing off of that, I will say Alexandria has been a kind of a vocal member, and she's been around for a while. She's been heavily grading. What kind of tailor this into a double question? She's been grading with tag. And it seems like tag cards have been gaining some popularity, I've noticed. And I wasn't really fully aware of them until she showed me one of her, the detail that you get on these tag reports on the grading is kind of cool. So I kind of wanted to pair that in with kind of talking about tag just a little bit. So let you take this one first.
Man, it's definitely a subject of debate, and it's definitely the hot topic. I was on a podcast a week ago or so, where it was Pokey Sun. It was on the Pokey S&P podcast, Pokey Sun and Jesse's a actual investor in tag. And so he was kind of giving me, a little bit like behind the scenes take of it, and how it all their kind of mission and where they're trying to go with it and how everything works. I'm very open-minded. I am very I would say excited about some of the things that tag is trying to do. I really like the idea of the on-site grading pods and being able to just take your card up to a local card shop or to a card show and have it, graded and encapsulated right then and there, and get it cheaper and no wait times and all that stuff. I think it's a great idea, right? And I told Jesse this, and I'm not talking down tag at all, right? My only issue is I think people underestimate the fact that most collectors are pretty set in their ways, and it's pretty hard to convince an entire market that this new thing is the way to go. Switch your collection over to this. This is a better grade. This is a higher quality grade, and all this stuff. I think a lot of people are just set in their ways, and they've been doing PSA 10s for so long. They're going to stick with PSA. I think there's definitely a niche of the market that tag can carve out for itself. I think it can do great as a company. But as far as replacing PSA, I just don't see it. I think there's room for both. I just don't think it's going to knock them off.
Yeah. Agreed. And I've become more open-minded to it. I haven't done it yet, but I want to do a tag submission, and I want to see what it's like, and I think that'll be interesting. I think competition is the greatest thing that could be happening. you know, it kind of sucks with PSA. You know, they bought SGC recently, and they're kind of like monopolizing the market. You know, and they're the biggest one, right? And so I like to see competition. I think it's great. Like I said, I don't know if Tag can do it, like as far as breaking in enough. But I like what they're about, trying to eliminate the human side of it, because we've all cracked and resubbed to PSA, and those can be really wild. The changes there. So getting that out, and like you said, if they can do that grading pod thing and actually have that, that's insane. On site, just put your card in and have it on. That's cool. I'm like, that has me kind of excited. I don't know where those pods would be or anything, but
tell you what, I'm with Doom though. I'm with Doom down there.
Oh, this one right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, room for both is perfectly fine. Just kick CGC out. Yeah,
we can have the PSA, the Tag, and then Beckett. You can try to hit the black label. I think that's enough.
Yeah, the trifecta there between the three. Yeah, no, I could see that too. Yeah, and sorry, and Alexandria said she wasn't trying to bring up Tag. I know, Alexandria. I know that was me. I inserted that. I wanted to talk about that. So
I don't care.
Yeah, no. Let's see. We also have today is Pokemon Day, right? Today's Pokemon Day. So we can kind of talk about this a little bit too. Ghetto Blush says, "What do y'all think of the Mega Pokemon cards announced?" He says, "I'm thinking singles and slabs of old XY era Megas will spike in the short term, at the very least. I think this is something that's kind of been speculated for a while now, since we knew that Megas were coming back. A lot of people have been making some speculative plays on that."
Yeah, I feel like we're living in deja vu. Like everyone, I've been getting a lot of people reach out to me with this too, and I'm like, I literally have videos on my channel talking about the speculation behind Megas when they Pokemon Worlds. I think they released a video. Yeah, and a lot of people made the Megas play like months and months ago, and so it's really weird to see it come back around. And so I don't know. Maybe there'll be another run on Megas. Right. But yeah, I think a lot of people knew this was coming. There were plays made. I made plays on it, and I actually have already sold out some of the plays that I made before that run up happened. So maybe there'll be another run up. I don't know. But yeah, it's very weird that everyone's treating this as new information when it's, to me, it wasn't.
Yeah, we've known about this for a while now. I don't think I really talked about it too much on my channel, but I know that there were others, like you said, like yourself and others, that have been talking about it, and it's been available. I think we known even before Worlds. I think there were some trademarking things that happened, but yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, we definitely could see another spike with this market. Like that would be kind of crazy. But I could see that happening. It's not something I'm really investing in. I'm not gonna, I play it safe. I'm not gonna really invest in singles, mega singles personally, but it's an interesting thing to talk about. Does anybody know what else was really, like, I saw some stuff was announced, like there was a new game, and then we got the Z to A coming out, confirmed later in the year, and then there was some Scarlet and Violet stuff in the new game. But like, was anyone else expecting like more from this Pokemon Day? Because I didn't follow it too closely, but I felt like I was expecting something more coming from this announcement. Doom says nothing. really nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's more of the same. I think it's business as usual. Yeah. I think that people, I think it's like natural. I think it's natural if people like want to like things to happen. They want something to like tank, or they want something to like spike to the moon. I just think it's going to be more of the same. I think sets are going to keep coming out, a little hotter than they should. I think it'll eventually get to a point where it cools off, but I just don't see anything like dropping more than, the PSA and then the illustration rares, things like that, the ones that get pumped and like go sky high, buyouts, all that stuff, they'll come down. Like those will eventually correct and come down. But like a lot of the other cards and boxes and items that have been like slowly, steadily going up over time, I just don't see anything major happening. I think we're kind of, we're just becoming more of an established market at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like, I think like things like the Drowsy will drop, but like, hey, maybe things like the Groudon or Eevee or, Magikarp and Tyranitar, like a lot of those illustrations may just kind of have maybe small dips, maybe go stagnant, maybe keep rising because they've always been collected. They've always been wanted. They are hard to grade. They have other things going for them than just like, oh, we're in a boom,
Yeah. So you weren't buying Drowsy cards at $90, making that grading play?
Man, isn't it amazing? Here's the scary part. Like, with PSA getting longer wait times, it's like you send a card in like that and you have to wait, 3-4 months to get it back possibly. What happens to the market in that time? You never know.
Yeah, I know for sure.
A little
Yeah,
scary.
that drowsy, that drowsy card's been interesting. I made a video recently just kind of talking about. Once again, I always said it's a nice looking card. It's just not a $90 card in my opinion.
Yeah,
And
the
people
Persian.
yeah, and I like all those cards a lot. The ones that have been getting pumped, art wise, they're cool looking cards. You just gotta like. I was trying just to warn people a little bit, just to pump the brakes a little bit if you're new. You don't just, but I think everyone, the FOMO factor, people are so worried about missing out that, oh, what if that drowsy card goes to 150 or it goes big? And I think that's fueling things a little bit, and people just need to chill a little bit when it comes to
What's so crazy about it too? It's like, it's weird. It's like once these cards, and it's the market like somehow absorbs it, but it's like once these cards reach these new heights, they almost hold up at a higher price point than they really should, just because when they do drop, people see it as a massive drop. It's like that card will run up from whatever it was, like $10 to like 90, and then it'll drop back to like 50 or 60. People will be like, oh my gosh, it's almost in half. This is it. And then you'll have a bunch of buyers get in, and it'll actually stabilize in like the $50 range, and you're just like, it's still $50.
Yeah.
But people see it as a deal.
Yeah, there was an article. It was a TCG Player Infinite article. I've talked about it on my channel a few times, but they were talking about the Greninja, and we're talking time frame back, rewind, when Twilight just had released. The market wasn't as crazy. They were saying that there was a buyout that fueled that Greninja, and then FOMO kicked in, right? And this is what the article was implying, essentially, from TCG Player, was that it was one individual buying a lot of copies. And it shot up. Not that the Greninja is not a nice card, once again, but it can once that happens. And like you said, even lesser cards, they run up and then they come back and they set a new higher low, right? For that exact reason. Which and then there's been a lot of illustration rares, I think, that have been undervalued for a long time. Some of those illustration rares that were $1, $2, $3 cards, in my opinion, probably should have been a little bit higher. But you got to realize the difference here between some of those, a $2 to $3 card versus something jumping up to like 30. So it'll be interesting to see where things level off with some of these cards.
I got a hot take for you.
Okay,
let's do some hot takes. All right, here's my hot take. It goes on to that question about the population report. Okay, so I've been looking into the vintage pop reports compared to these modern pops of some of these cards. And guys, I'm not talking about some of these crazy illustrations that are like not really sought after. They're just kind of getting pumped during the boom. But some of these like more sought after Pokemon, more higher hits in the sets, some of these cards literally have like 5, 6, 7, 800 population, right? So let's say it has 500, 600. Okay. One thing we know about population reports, once they're established, once they're, thousands of cards are graded, say 1, 2, 3,000 cards, usually they stay within the same range. So if it has a 20% 10 rate, it's usually going to continue a 20% 10 rate, whether it has 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 graded. And so if some of these cards have 20% 10 rates, even if they get 10,000 graded, they're likely going to have 1,000 copies, if not less, because as the population grows, people are going to get more desperate and try to send in more cards. PSA is grading harder now. There may be a less than 20% 10 rate. And so my question is, if some of these vintage cards have like 2, 3, 4, 500 populations, some of these new modern cards may only have 800, 900, 1,000, 1,200. They have more popularity because there's more people in the hobby now that want them. How are some of these price points going to look in the future if some of these top hits of the illustrations and stuff only have 1,000 copies in existence in 5 years? You might see some of these price points actually hold, as crazy as that sounds.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Yeah, the grading aspect always, especially with some of these margins, fueling that for sure. Here's an interesting one from Alexandria, and coming from the rip and ship side, the Surging Sparks Pikachu hype seemed to last for a day, and I haven't heard about it since. How is it from when you're ripping packs? People are still, I would assume people are still hunting for that Pikachu, right? And they still want it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's held up well price wise. It's kind of just been like, what is it, like mid 400s?
Yeah,
and it's just been like steady, right?
Well, I did a video the other day that I compared Paldea and Surging Sparks to Astral Radiance and Silver Tempest. And what's crazy about it is the box prices are all about the same, but Surging Sparks and Paldea actually have more value in hits now than Silver or Astral do.
Uh-huh.
And it's just like, wait a second. So Surging Sparks, Pikachu's worth more than the Lugia is.
Yeah.
And then the other cards in there, right? All the, the Latias and everything else is all worth more than the Silver Tempest other hits. And you're thinking to yourself, well, maybe this box price does kind of make a little bit of sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is weird that people don't talk about it much. But yeah, I mean, the price is holding up. The sales still happen. So the market is just not being talked about as much on social media.
Yeah, for sure.
People still open the packs. It's not like one of the high flying sets. Crown 151, Paldea Fates. Like those are a lot of the sets that are being opened most.
Are you seeing an uptick in SV base recently?
Oh yeah, that too. SV base, huge uptick. Everyone's chasing the Drowsy.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's wild.
Yes.
I mean, I always liked SV base. I like the Gardevoir a lot, the Gardevoir line too. But I don't blame people for chasing the Drowsy too either with where it's been at. But that's just a wild one for me.
Yeah.
All right, I think I'm getting ready to wind this down. I think we're doing good. But if anyone has any last questions, throw them in the chat. We'll try to get them talked about. Any questions that we have. Kind of starting to end the stream. I'm getting a little bit of a headache, so no, it's all good. I get these headaches every once in a while. Old football injury. It's like on this one side. It's not that bad. Man. I'm good, but we'll start winding it down shortly. Maybe we can do more in the future.
Sure.
But for now, Advanced Refrigeration says, what do you say? Everyone says Umbreon and Charizard are the safe plays, but Orthworm and Wiglet are up next. Yeah, with the way things are getting pumped. Yeah, Wiglet and Orthworm.
Low risk play.
Yeah. Let's see. I feel like I know what Alex is going to say about this. Simplified Chinese.
I'm not in for it.
Yeah. What about Japanese? Have you swayed at all?
I mean, I joke about Japanese all the time. I definitely understand the love for Japanese. Like, obviously, it's the original language, and they have different cards in the sets, and obviously, a lot of times you can get it cheaper. It's just a lot. Here's the problem, right? There's a lot of true Japanese fans that they want Japanese like first. That's like what they want to collect.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of people though that only go to Japanese when it is cheaper because English got too expensive. And then what happens is now that Japanese is expensive, people are trying to go to Korean and Chinese. What happens is once things cool down and then Japanese is cheap again and then English is cheap again, what's going to happen? People are going to recede back to the language they actually want, whether it be English or Japanese. And that's why I don't go all the way down to the Chinese. I don't think it's going to be, that collected when everything else gets cheap again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that makes sense. I like, I'll pick up some Japanese cards for some singles that I want that I feel are too expensive on the English side, pick them up just to have, but I don't do too much. 151 Japanese, I picked up some boxes of that. I still think that'll do well long-term.
For sure.
Pokey Plumber. Don't you guys have your own podcast to talk about this stuff? No, it's all good. Do you think $200 for a newly released booster box is too expensive?
Yes.
It depends on the set for the most part.
I would say yes.
Destined Rivals would be once again, I'm real hyped for that set. That might be the one where I'm trying to MSRP or bust currently for all my sealed, but that's the one set where I'm thinking about, what would I actually be willing to pay if I can't get my hands on it? And that might be the one set that kind of has me. I mean, we haven't seen enough yet, so I can't say that for definitive, but like, that's the one set I'm kind of thinking, well, if I have to pay up, it might be Destined Rivals for me. And that'd be the only one of the current, SV era stuff coming out that I think I would do that with. Yeah.
I mean, if I'm a collector, if you're a collector, right, you're buying one of every booster box, what's an extra $40 or so? Like, because think about it, booster boxes only come out every 3 months. Like, what's an extra $40, for this 3-month period? It's like an extra $13 a month it costs you or something. I don't think it's that crazy. If you're talking about like investing and buying cases worth at $200, then I think it's probably too much. Also, for like a regular consumer, I think it is a little high. I'm one of the people that like, these are the things that get me in trouble, right? These are the things that get me in trouble, but I don't care at this point. I'm one of these people that thinks $5 a pack is not expensive for Pokemon these days.
Yeah.
And when you take $5 a pack times 36, that's $180. So it's barely over $5 a pack. Maybe you just can't open a full booster box. Maybe you just go buy yourself some packs. But I mean, it's not that crazy. Like, I think anything under 180 is kind of reasonable at this point because it's $5 a pack or less, which seems reasonable to me. So that's my take. I know it's not like the popular opinion of a lot of the casual collectors and a lot of the people who, maybe this is really expensive. And I understand it's an expensive hobby, but when you break it down by that, it's like these packs were selling for $4 in 1999. I think $5 in 2025 is kind of reasonable.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with that. I would agree with that sentiment for sure. It doesn't seem that bad when you break it down like that.
No.
Are you going to be flying out to LA for Collecticon?
I'm not. Do you go to any Collecticons?
LA.
Are you going? Okay.
Yes, I'm just a few hour drive away. So
gotcha.
I will.
Have you been to others?
I've been to this will be my third now.
They're fun. They're fun.
The California ones, I enjoy them. Even if I'm not buying a ton, I just like seeing everything, kind of get a feel for it. It's really fun. Yeah, I really enjoy it. If you've never been, I highly recommend going. It's quite the experience. Just even being in the presence of just like, you see how many people have like freaking like 20 Giratina alt arts in a 10 in their case, and just like, it's just crazy. It's so fun to see.
Or the booth with all the black labels.
Oh, I know, it's wild, and you just start drooling. It's yeah. I will be at Collecticon LA on Saturday, so if anybody wants to say hi, I'm a little bit social anxiety, but come up, say hi to me anyways. I'll be friendly. So yeah, I will be there, and that'll be fun. I'm actually really looking forward to that. Should be a fun time. Butt Monkey says, Nostalgia Nomics, Pokey Plumber, it was never a phase podcast. When?
Yeah, we can have you on, dude. You and Plumber can gang up on me with vintage. It'll be great.
Okay, I'm down. I'm down. I would love that. That would be fun. I try and catch. Sometimes I like to catch your guys. I try not to watch too much other content creators, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Just because I don't want it to like skew too much of like, indirectly.
100%. I know exactly what you mean.
But I do enjoy trying like a live. I try and tune in when I can, listen to some stuff, and I do appreciate, listening to that stuff. So that, I mean, if you guys wanted to have me on, I'd love to be on. That'd be fun. I'd enjoy it. So we could do that. I'm way back behind on comments. What else do we have to end this? Let's see. I'm not seeing a ton. That's okay. Is this the confirmed price point on the new prismatic? It's not a UPC. It's not an ultra premium collection. It's like a
super premium.
Yeah. Is this
the last super? When was that? But back in like Dragon Majesty, Shining Legends days, they called them super premium collection.
Yeah. Is this the confirmed MSRP? Is that what?
I don't know.
Anybody
man.
know?
Everything happens so quick. Honestly, like most people like that know information way before I do anymore.
Yeah.
It reminds me of when I worked at a car dealership for a very brief time. I worked at a Jaguar Land Rover dealership, and customers would come in and they would like start spewing off all these facts. And I would literally tell them, like, listen, you guys probably know more about this car than I do. So why don't you just tell me what you want, and I'll just make sure it has it. Like, cause it's like, people in this hobby, man, some people, they stay so engaged all day and they check every news site and everything every single day. And it's like,
yeah,
they'll know stuff like 10 a week before I do, 10 times more than I do. It's crazy. I don't even try to keep up anymore.
Yeah. They're saying Best Buy has it up at $99.99.
Okay.
So that's the MSRP supposedly. And
interesting.
Safari Zone saying $89.99 MSRP potentially. So that's,
well, Safari Zone's usually a little lower.
Yeah. So that makes sense. Yeah, I think it's less packs. It's a few less packs than the and then the one.
Are there promos? I'm guessing there's the EV promo.
There's one promo.
Oh, just one.
The food EV one, if you've seen that one.
Yeah.
And then you got the playmat, and the sleeves are actually really nice.
Yeah.
They look really nice. So I'm kind of excited for that.
Interesting. Yeah, I wonder what it's going to be like distro price.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I did hear there was a Reddit thing floating around. Somebody who works at the printing facility said that there is they didn't say directly, but they were implying that there's a metric crap ton of these. Once again, who knows how far that's going to go or where it's going to go? I don't know. But they were saying that comparatively that there's a lot of these. So I don't want to get anyone's hopes up too much, but And there's
That's good
some
to hear. It sounds like
some
they're going the
photos
right
that
direction
leaked,
then.
but it was just the corner of the warehouse. You can't, you can't really tell. It was just a few pallets, but so hopefully, that it's a May release, I believe, for that product. So hopefully by then, I don't know. I'd love to just get my hands on a few at this point, but all right, I think we're gonna wrap it up there then. Huge thanks, huge shout out to Alex. I'm sure if you're coming to my channel, you already know about Alex from Nostalgia Nomics. But if you don't, make sure you go give him a follow. Check out his channel. He's got rip and ship stuff. He's got Cabal merch. He's got an Under Armour sponsorship. Apparently making big money. Yeah, go check him out. And yeah, huge thanks to coming on. A little late over there for you, but appreciate having you. It was a fun conversation. I enjoy. I don't have too many friends that are really into Pokemon cards, so it's nice just to just kind of chat about some stuff.
Most of us don't, right?
Yeah, right. We're the nerds, but I enjoyed it. And huge thank you to everyone who was in here. I think we peaked over 200 viewers for a while. Thanks to everyone who watched. Thanks to everyone who commented and the super chats. Really appreciate all of you guys. Hopefully we'll do some more in the future. We might end up on the Nostalgia Nomics side maybe in the future as well. So look forward to that. So make sure you're subscribed. And that's going to do it for this one, guys. We'll catch you in the next one. And remember, it was never a phase.
Appreciate it, man.